This program is intended for informational purposes only and does not contain medical advice. As always, please contact your physician or qualified healthcare provider with any questions regarding a medical condition.
There's literally people's jobs in the world to make something so addicting. And that's what social media is. I'm not about to have them prey on my brain like that. You gotta treat social media as a drug. We have a system that is just, it's cancerous.
Yeah.
Life and death lies in the power of the tongue. This is biblical. The world is governed by emotions and not logic.
Welcome everybody to yeah, exactly. My first live episode of Hot and Bothered with Melyssa Ford. Thank you guys all for joining us. Yes, you're here. And this came about in such a strange but like serendipitous kind of way. Because Da Vinci, you talk so much about mental health. It's not just like lip service you give, it's literally something that you do. I stalked your Instagram page a little bit. And it is a topic that is so near and dear to your heart. I mean, I'm sure everybody in the room knows who Da Vinci is. He plays Southwest T on BMF, and June 6th. Season 4 is coming back, correct? Am I right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure everybody's excited about that, right? Yes. Yeah, okay. How was filming season 4, by the way? It looks lit.
It was good, it was great. It was a while ago though, so honestly, I kind of forgot what we did in season 4. Because we filmed that like, I feel like it's like a year and a half. It's like a year ago. Yeah, we filmed like a year ago, so, but it's fire. Everything is bigger, from the budget, the cast, the drama. So it's like the action this season is kind of crazy. And I think we finally get to the point that everybody knows about in BMF this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you think everything has changed from season 1 to season 4? Like in terms of, you mentioned budget is bigger, but also, just do you think that your performance has, enhanced along the way? Do you feel like you've gotten to be a better actor as a result of, of this show and playing this character?
Definitely. I'm fortunate enough that in this show we have great actors like Russell Hornsby, Steve Harris.
Yeah.
We have Wood Harris. We have McCole. We have La be doing her thing. Lala, she be doing her thing. We have Kofi, who plays Lamar. You have, it's like, I'm surrounded by so many great talents from different walks of life. So sometimes, while we're waiting, when the camera's turning around, you're having some creative conversations, and I take notes and watch different scenes, and I talk to different people to hear their journey. So I've definitely been growing a lot. And as you sit with a character for like 4 years, it's almost like second nature now. So as far as like playing Terry, I definitely feel like I've for sure grown with him, and now it just feels like second nature. But even outside of playing that on set, I feel like BMF, the coolest thing about BMF is like, I feel like I'm in college, because I get to talk to those other actors that's been doing this for way longer. So in that same, like me learning, doing what I love and acting, I'm also learning so much.
What's your relationship like with the real Southwest T, Terry, as you call him?
Oh, it's a good relationship, He's loving, he's mad supportive. He definitely gave me my flowers, how I, portray him, and he's a humble dude. He's really smart. He's really smart.
You talk about, being raised in a difficult environment where your parents provided you with your basic needs but weren't always able to conceptualize, providing for you your emotional needs, your psychological needs, and that kind of left you needing and wanting a whole lot more. So can you tell us a moment in your childhood in where you identified that was, what was happening, that your emotional and psychological needs were not being met?
That's a great question. The beauty about being a kid is that you don't
You don't know what you don't know until you know it.
Exactly. So I couldn't even articulate a sentence like that as a child, but it came out in my behavior. It came out, I think, me realizing that it wasn't a conscious thing, it was action. So I was getting in trouble. I was getting in fights. I was doing bad things. I was trying to be somebody that I'm not. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. I think that's how it showed itself. So as a child, I didn't know that that's what I was missing. It's not until, you know, you become a man and you're 20 years old. Well, really, when I started reading at like 17, 18, 19. And I started realizing, I'm like, oh, snap. You know what I'm saying? And then I was on my own at that point. But yeah, so unfortunately as a child, you had to be like Einstein if you was able to really like be like pinpoint like, dad, mom, this is not being met, you know? So I
No, but in hindsight, that's what I meant. So with all that you know now, using the power of hindsight, going back to the experience of being a child and knowing, you know, now knowing that those needs weren't met, what was a moment in which you knew?
Oh my God. Shit, everything. I mean, my parents were so, looking back at it now, we never really had conversations about my friends in school and my social life and my environment. Like my parents, they really couldn't name any of my friends.
Did your parents tell you that they loved you? Were they affectionate? Because that is something that I find happens a lot. Like my parents weren't super affectionate either, and now I have like a whole host of issues that I talk to my therapist about.
Yeah, no, they didn't. I don't think I ever heard that word from my dad until like now. Like
really?
Yeah, like me and my dad, like now he'll be like, I love you, son. And I was like, oh wow. Like I remember the first time he said that, I like looked at the phone. He was like, you heard me? I was like, no, I heard you. And I was like, love you too. But I growing up, I didn't hear. And my mom was just so busy. Like she was just busy working that she would say it, but it wasn't we wasn't being tucked in at night and a bedtime story like, love you, son. Like none of that shit was happening.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes I definitely wish it happened more, but it also made me who I am today. So it's like, I love the character that I built from that. So I wouldn't want to change anything, but if I had that, I probably would have been more affectionate. It would have made my love life probably more like, I probably would have been more like, you know, holding hands and PDA and just carrying the girl, you know what I'm saying? But now I'm just like, all right, we get, like, I'm definitely romantic, but I think some people who have a certain type of affectionate thing early, I think it affects that for sure. Or maybe that's just me.
I mean, we learn a lot about romance from movies and TV shows and that sort of thing. So it takes a minute for us to isolate, you know, what is our own, you know, method of expressing romanticism. Other than what we've learned from TV and movies, because a lot of that it just is, you know, a lot of trash. But but when did you decide that you wanted to make it your mission to use your platform to discuss mental health and raise awareness and try to destigmatize mental health and therapy, especially in the Black community where it is heavily stigmatized?
I think the moment came to when I started just ferociously attacking books. Like I was just like, and the quote that made me start reading was the one that I forgot who said this, but they were like, if you want to hide something from a Black man, you put it in a book. And I was like, all right, I'm about to go find what they hide. You know, I'm gonna find these hidden treasures. And as I started reading it, and you start understanding the history of the world, and then you get to America, and America is one of the youngest countries in the world. America is a baby. America is like Anthony Edwards in the NBA. Like that is America is, you know, it's really young, and a lot of people, we gain power and structure and foundation so fast that we feel like we've been around like as long as a European country, but it's like, no, it's very new. So as I was studying history, and then, you know, you get to Black people, I don't even want to say Black people because that's an interesting term. I would just say people of African descent. When you get there and you realize, you know, what happened to us, and then you fast forward to the transatlantic slave trade and how, you know, Africans built the country, and then, you know, when we were emancipated and we came out of that, like the 100 years after slavery, I think is very important for Black and brown people to study, because at that point in America, we were outpacing white people economically. And there was a shift that happened. And, you know, I'm not trying to sound like, I don't know,
A scholar?
an activist or so I don't want people to think that I'm trying to, like, you know, be like, hey, like,
No,
I'm not
I mean,
trying to.
honestly, I think it's wonderful to see this kind of passion from somebody as young as you are. Somebody who decided to take it upon himself, you know, to learn something outside of like a curriculum that was, you know, that he was forced to learn.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I think that one of the most attractive qualities about anybody is intellectual curiosity. You know,
Right.
I think that as human beings, we should remain curious until the day we die.
Right.
You know, so I think this is a good thing.
No,
that you're so well read.
I appreciate that. Thank you for that. And I do want to make this statement that I'm not someone who believes like, oh, what white people did to Black people. No, it's just people did this to people. People that was influenced by whatever they were influenced by. You know what I'm saying? Because at one point in America, during the Bacon's Rebellion, Black and white people were fighting together. And then the elite whites was just like, hold on, we need to separate these two poor whites. It was indentured servants and slaves. And it was just like, they're too close in proximity. So the whole concept of whiteness came about. So that these indentured servants was like, oh no, we're better than you slaves. And then they started allowing the indentured servants to have slaves. And then that's what created that. But Black and white people, we were in the same fight. You know what I'm saying? Like we were like, nah, this is just wrong what's happening to us. But anyway, when you study the history of what happened to us, and then you start realizing why we're so disenfranchised, and then you realize that the stuff that get pushed to us and our culture strictly are not getting pushed to other cultures at the same rate. And I was just like, yo, like we're being destroyed here, you know. And it's not just Black and brown people. Now at this point, it's like everybody's susceptible to it. Everyone is suffering from it. But it's just like fundamentally our thinking is just wrong.
Yeah.
So like I was doing this interview, and this dude, he was just like, they asked him, and he was very respectful. They was like, hey, how's your mental health? How do you feel? He was just like, I don't have mental health. And he's like, and I feel bad, you know, about Da Vinci, you know, going through that. And I was like, wait, come on, hold on. Guys, if you don't have mental health, you would be dead. But we have such a lack of knowledge and understanding and access to that information that we cannot compute entirely what mental health is. Mental health is no different from PE. You have physical education in school.
Yeah.
The more you work out,
Yeah.
it makes that if you had to be like, hold on, I need to go to the bathroom, you could run quicker.
Yeah.
If you had to go up a flight of stairs, you
Yeah.
can get there quicker.
Yeah, it's
If
health.
If
It's
exactly.
overall
If your
health.
child was running down the street, you could chase after his little ass and be like, yo, come here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You could just do that. So with mental health, if you keep a sound mental diet, what that does is like when you deal with the inevitable life problems, you don't lash out. You know what I'm saying? If your spouse, if your significant other pisses you off, you're not like, you could control your emotions. It's emotional IQ, you know what I'm saying? So I realized like we don't understand that, and a lot of our thinking is just flawed, it's just wrong. Like our self-talk, we don't understand how powerful our tongue is. And I was taught at an early age, life and death lies in the power of the tongue. And this is biblical, you know what I'm saying? So it's like there's certain things that our mouth holds so much weight, you know what I'm saying? Our brain is like a sponge in the morning and at night.
Yeah.
Certain things I'm not listening to in the morning. Certain things I'm not listening to at night. But because we don't program our brains properly when we're dealing with the inevitable stress and anxiety, the side effects that come with it, you know, a capitalistic, powerful country,
Yeah.
we don't really know how to deal with that. And then what ends up happening, we start having to rely on some type of medication, some type of drug,
Yeah.
which then have real side effects. And then that's when you start developing a whole bunch of different type of
Coping mechanisms.
coping mechanisms
Yeah.
after you've done been diagnosed with a psychosis
Yeah.
or one of those sorts of stuff. So when I started realizing that, I was like, yo, I want to talk to people about this.
So speaking of coping mechanisms, when you were a kid and not having the, you know, the vocabulary to assess what's happening up here, did sports play a role in how you coped with difficulties at home, difficulties at school, peer pressure, et cetera, et cetera?
For sure, it's always fun for a kid to just basically go out and play fetch. So it was fun to play sports and play with my friends. But
Was basketball a thing for you?
basketball, football, track, any sport that I can get my hands on. But something else that was also like appetizing was the streets. You know, I feel like girls was either falling in love with the ball players or like the drug dealers.
Right.
So like the people we were looking up to, you know, we were like, we either gonna be this or that. And my parents really were I'm athletic as hell. I could play mad sports, I could do whatever, but it's just like I didn't have the ability to really develop a certain level of IQ in these sports as the pro. Like when I got to college, I was like, okay, these people have been playing since they were 4 years old. They had parents or a parent that was like really investing in that child, and you see they become one with the ball. Me, I can shoot, dribble, and dunk a ball, but it's just like at the next level, there's something else. But where my IQ came from really was like the streets.
Yeah.
And that's really and because I'm the youngest and my brothers, it's like, I just took after them. You know, what they were doing, what our friends were doing, and I was always the baby in the group. I was just learning from them. So that, I think, understanding the streets and being outside and doing bad stuff, that became another sport for me too.
Yeah. So did sports didn't like, you know, provide for you a sense of like kind of camaraderie with teammates, or, you know, just kind of like team building and that sort of thing?
No, I never liked the people that I played with. Honestly, I never really liked the people I played with. I really didn't care for them. But the thing is, I had brothers and I had a big family.
Okay.
So when it's 12 of y'all deep.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like when you go out, it's like, yeah, what's up? Like, nigga, that's my family. You know? So it's like the sports, it's like when I would see them, I'm like, man, like I run circles around them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like mentally.
Yeah.
Like it's like I was hanging out with the OGs, so it's like when I'm around kids my age, I'm like, yo, you're a kid.
Yeah.
I was 12 years old, like sunning people.
That's how I felt too. That's absolutely how I felt being around kids my age, especially boys my age. I was like, I gotta go hang with the older boys.
Yeah.
How has, because I know you were on All American before you were on BMF, so you already had some idea of what fame was like, but I feel like BMF might be another level. How have you handled it? You seem very diplomatic. All of your answers seem to be extremely measured.
I received that. Thank you. I appreciate that. I feel like I'm actually still more famous from All American than BMF.
Oh yeah? Okay.
Yeah, which is actually strange. Like I don't think, like I had a conversation with one of my producers. I was doing this comedy show, and when I asked who know me from All American, they went crazy. When I asked who know me from BMF, they went crazy, but it wasn't as loud.
Got it.
So, but the thing about All American, it came out during the pandemic, so we was all locked in the house.
Yeah.
So the trickiest part, it's like, I really became famous from All American, but everyone was locked in the house. And then we started filming BMF. So when BMF came out, then the world was open again.
Yeah.
So then it seemed like all that came from BMF.
Yeah.
Shout out to BMF. BMF done wonders, and that's a great audience. I appreciate my fan base, but it's like, it's for, just so to answer your question, it's for sure both of them, and I experienced both the fame from them at once.
Yeah.
So it was like a super thing, and to answer your other question of how I deal with it.
Because social media, you know, it basically is like, it's a facet of all of our lives, and when you are in the public eye like you are, it plays a huge role, you know, good, bad, or indifferent. So, you know, I mean, do you find yourself having to like kind of like take a break from it at times?
I delete the app all the time.
Oh yeah?
All the time. Like I post, delete the app.
Yeah.
Post, delete the app. So it's like, and sometimes I'll post or I'll check something and then I'll forget that I checked something and then I'm like scrolling and I'll like delete it. But like I'm not one.
You won't do the doomsday scrolling.
No.
Yeah.
If you catch me scrolling for hours, that's not me. Like somebody possessed my body. Like I make it a point to modify my usage of social media, because social media was beautifully designed by people who are attention engineers. It's literally people's jobs in the world to make something so addicting. And that's what social media is. And when you realize that, it's like, I'm not about to have them prey on my brain like that.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And it's actually making you have ADHD. It's developing certain problems in you. You know, I feel like my generation, Gen Zs, the end of millennials, we have a plethora of things that's gonna await us when we're 40s or 50s, because it's like we have a system that is just, it's cancerous.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then when I talk to people that are behind the platform or that are creating things for this platform, and they're just like, oh God, no, I would never make my kids have this. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm using it's like picture
so
if you
insidious,
drinking
right?
this water and I made this water, right? And then you're like, why don't you have some, bitch? I'm like, oh, this? You got me fucked up. You're like, yo, and then you're gonna put the water. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when you realize that the people who's making this ain't using it, it's like, yo, let me chill. Like we're just consuming it and destroying ourselves. So it's like it has its pros, but I think the cons are so strong that you got to treat social media as a drug.
Yeah, I mean,
treat it like a
there's
drug.
people have a general understanding of that, but just the idea that just the notion that you embrace that idea so much and you protect yourself from it is interesting. Not a lot of people can do that because, like you said, it's become an addiction.
Yeah.
You know, for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
I just found out about your show For the Fellas.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
so second season started in January sometime. I want to say.
No, it was just a podcast.
It's a podcast.
Yeah,
okay.
it's just a podcast that I did an episode of the second season.
Okay.
Yeah, with me, Jacques.
So I thought that this was a podcast that you were going to be on continuously, and it wasn't just an episode.
No, it was just an episode.
Oh, okay. Because then I was going to start asking you about your podcast journey and that sort of thing. Do you ever have any interest in creating your own podcast?
I do, but I can't. It'll destroy me.
Why?
Because it's like, I can't.
The consistency?
With all due respect, I mean this in the nicest way possible. I think I'm too direct.
Okay.
And too straightforward. To where there's certain.
I feel like that would actually benefit you.
No.
No, listen. In my opinion,
Not
having
for
done
acting.
Got it.
I'm gonna
I was
piss
gonna
off.
say. I was gonna say, as a man, men seem to benefit from being way more direct than women ever could. It's the reason why you have Howard Sterns and Rush Limbaugh's and Joe Rogan's and Charlemagne. It's like there's a reason why, but you can't really think of any women who are that direct, other than maybe Wendy Williams.
Right, but you can't. But you can't have a career outside of that. Like the career. Like if I started a podcast from my heart, the things I truly believe that I want listeners, and I'm not placating, I'm not pandering to no audience, my other life will crash.
Yeah.
Because you can't be that honest. Because the thing about honesty, the world is governed by emotions and not logic. So if I'm saying something that is fundamentally true, if you're conditioned to be more emotional and I piss you off, and I deal with you or someone that works with you in another area in life, that's gonna conflict.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? And people talk. So then I can say something. I can say one simple statement right now, but someone could cut it up, chop it up, and they're like, "Oh my God, he's right. He's left. He's this. He's Buddha. He's Christianity." And then it's like everybody have their own little beliefs that it's like I'm gonna piss someone off, so I think it's gonna shoot me. I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot.
Yeah.
And then I don't partake in the same habits as most people in the world. Like the way I live my life, it's so different that if I start speaking, some may feel.
What do you mean that it's different? Like
It's just different. Like the conversations I have, the way I live, the way I experience my life, the things that I read, the what I choose to focus my mind on and what I don't. If I start speaking on it, I'm gonna upset more than half the world.
Yeah.
And that's just how the world works. Like me and you are cool right now, but if we start talking behind closed doors and I say something, I could disrupt the belief that you hold so dear to your heart, even if it's fundamentally wrong.
You know what's interesting is me and my friends that were driving here, we started talking about what therapy teaches you. So I'm going to ask you about if you've had a therapy journey, but what therapy teaches you. So many people are so against therapy because they think that somebody's trying to get inside their brain and plant all these ideas.
But
and I'm like,
on social media
that's not what it is.
Right.
You know, the whole idea of therapy is self-discovery and the development of self-awareness.
Yeah.
You know, like why wouldn't you? But some people really want to hold on to these antiquated beliefs that have never been challenged, because if they let go of them, then they no longer have anything, a tether to hold on to. And then they have to do this whole journey of rediscovering who they are. And some people don't want to put in that amount of work.
And we don't like change. Like
human
naturally,
beings don't really like change.
And that's
you have
built to protect us.
It is, but you have to challenge yourself to withstand. You have to challenge yourself to develop, mental stamina. you know, and endurance to deal with change, because that's the only constant in life is change.
Yeah, that's true. But you're really strong. That the fact that you can do that mentally. You know what I'm saying? Like most people, we're not hardwired to do that.
Yeah.
We're hardwired to do the exact opposite, because sometimes change could lead to you trying this new poison that's going to kill everyone in your tribe. Change can lead you to you run into another tribe by mistake and then they kill you guys. You know what I'm saying? So naturally, we don't want to change, and we're comfortable in our misery, and it's just and it just sucks. But no, that's real what you're saying about therapy, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested. You know, you're extraordinarily well read, but what has your therapy journey been like?
It's God, number one,
okay.
and it's rooted from the Bible. So I'm locked into the Bible. And when I speak to therapists, they have to come from a biblical point of view, because if we have philosophical differences, then your advice, it might be good advice, but because of what's programmed in me, that's poison. And I think sometimes therapy is good. It holds a mirror to your face. I think it's really great, but you got to ask yourself, is this a therapist that praises man, or is this a therapist that praises God? And understand that there's a higher power, because you speak different, your language is different. Because sometimes therapy can make you become so self-absorbed and narcissistic in a way.
Really?
But no, it depends. It depends, though. It depends. Ooh, you know what?
No.
Guys, it depends. It depends. I gotta look at this guy. Like, because the thing is, it's like when it's rooted from God. At the end of the day, we're all supposed to be servants. We're supposed to serve one another. Okay. But we live in a generation that we promote self so much that we're so narcissistic. And self-preservation is just everything, and we're so self-absorbed. Everyone. We cannot see past our own little struggle. We cannot see past our own little light. So sometimes, depending on how the therapist is talking to you, it could make you start. It's so tough talking to people because you don't know their level of education, not you, the audience. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, don't worry.
So it's like, I'm trying to find.
If it applies, you know, if it don't apply, let it fly.
Yeah, you know, because you could get, and the reason why I'm so hesitant on what I'm saying, because based on the last 4 or 5 interviews that I've said, like when I run into people ask me for advice, but they're like, what did you mean by this? And it's like, depending on their level of consciousness, it's like, I can say something, like you could say you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it. But depending on what that person experienced, that's up to that person's interpretation. And I read this paradox before it was so beautiful. It said, words are spoken by the listener. Meaning, I'm speaking right now, but really you're speaking, because my words, depending on how it's affecting you based on your unique experiences with those words in life, you're interpreting it any way. And a prime example of that is if I'm talking to Shakespeare right now. Let's say William Shakespeare came alive, and I'm looking at some girl, I'm like, yo, damn, yo, shorty bad as hell. He's like, it appears to be a really small woman that is of malevolent behavior. That's really bad. I'm like, no, our jargon, meaning, shorty, that's a girl, Shakespeare, and she's attractive. And he's like, oh, why didn't you just say that? I'm like, I did, nigga, but you know what I'm saying? So words are so complex that, and he never had those experiences with that word that we had. So you're gonna understand that vernacular. He's not. So sometimes when I'm giving advice or I'm talking about something, I'm hesitant, which is why I can't have a podcast, because I would have to teach a whole curriculum.
Well, I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily true, because, you know, I do a lot of self-auditing as well, you know, because of the same reason. I think to myself, I want to be understood, and who is the audience that I'm speaking to? Will they understand if I pull out my big SAT words, or do I gotta, like, you know, kind of Mickey Mouse this, you know, what I'm about to say? But you can't worry about that, because, I mean, I think that words are an art form the same way artwork is on you know, paintings are art. What you do is art. Acting is art. Writing is art, you know, and it's up to the person viewing, reading, watching to interpret. You know, two people can watch the same scene of your show and walk away with 2 different interpretations of what they just saw. We're seeing it with Sinners right now. My God, I can't tell you how many dissertations I have seen online.
Which is a great movie.
It's a fabulous movie. I've already seen it twice, and now I got to go see it in IMAX.
That's a great movie.
Exactly, but I mean, that is a prime example of the way that we interpret the same thing that we all saw at the same time. It's built on our confirmation bias, our life experiences, and that sort of thing. Here's the thing about what you have to say and how direct you are. A lot of times that might be the pathway towards somebody re-examining their life in a way that they never actually thought possible. That's why I do this show, because a lot of the times, you know, the comments, the most rewarding part of doing this show is when I get comments from people that say, I learned this, I went to my doctor to ask for this, I enhanced my life by watching and listening to the show or in hearing this particular guest.
Right.
It's more rewarding than you probably would think. You know.
No, what you're saying is so true, but you said words are like art, and everyone can interpret it different. But there's also a reason why certain art is banned. Certain words you can't say. And before a television show or a movie gets pushed out, it goes through a series of execs that we want to make sure this art is sending this message. So when you're preaching an art, I'm not gonna say preaching, when you're speaking an art form that is foreign to the common ear, you will become an enemy. When you really make people think.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
So,
obviously, you know, books are being banned right now. They have
sociology is being taken out of school.
Critical thinking,
you know what I'm saying?
Black history, yes.
And because of that, so a certain conversation that you and I have, because sociology is being taken out, a lot of things are being taken out. So people just don't even understand the grounds of what we even talking about.
Understood.
So to go back on, like, I would just say, yes, I went to therapy. Everyone should go to therapy. I think that's the first step. And I think depending, if you're Christian, you believe in the Bible, I would urge you to find someone that is rooted from that book instead of somebody that's just a therapist based off of man words. Anything that man create is just fickle. Man words are fickle. Our definitions change all the time.
Yeah.
So if they're rooted in something higher, I think it's gonna make the therapy session a lot better, because we can't rely on our own understanding. You just can't. There's things that's just greater than us. So you gotta have someone that's coming from that perspective. I think it's a little more helpful. But having someone that is just man and don't believe in anything, that could work too. You know what I'm saying? But I think it would suit you if you have someone with some spiritual background that's rooted in the Bible or whatever you believe. I think it's gonna be a better session. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm gonna wrap this up by asking you one last question about your parents. With all of the knowledge that you've accumulated, all of your life experiences, and all of, you know, just all the information that you've downloaded, have you ever had a discussion with your parents now as an adult as to, you know, just about your experience being their child, and let them know what the experience was like for you?
That is a really good question. I try. But they don't really understand. They understand based off of what they know, but it goes back to, you don't know what you don't know. Because the truth is, and the way I cope with some of my stuff is that if they knew better, they would have done better, because their life would have been a lot better. You know, and I wholeheartedly believe that, and I know they believe that, but I don't even, the way that I'm thinking now, I don't think they could fully, and not trying to call them dumb or anything, but I just think they spent so many years
in survival
living
mode.
one way, in survival mode,
Yeah.
coming from a third world country, that they didn't even have time to exercise that school of thought. So it's like, I take it with a grain of salt. I don't really try to go full throttle with them and try to be like, yo, how did you guys feel when you guys da 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 da? I'm like,
Haitian, right?
Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? I do sometimes.
Haitian people are so strong, so like resilient, but the resiliency is based on so much trauma.
And I don't want to push that in their face. Like,
no, I
feel like it's kind of like rude sometimes.
It's admirable what they, you know, what they did, you know. But like you said, you can only use the tools that you have available to you at the moment that you have them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you do the best that you can, especially parents.
Yeah, and then I do want to add to this, speaking of my parents, like, they instilled great character in me and work ethics. Like, it's like, although a lot of other needs weren't met, but it's just like what I did learn from them made me a solid person. You know what I'm saying? And we have ways in our culture that, they raise a child that is completely different from Americans. To where like foreigners, we get along way more than we do with Americans. Like behind closed doors, we be in meetings talking shit about y'all.
Hey, I'm Canadian with a Caribbean background.
My fault. Well, not you, them. You know what I'm saying? But no. I'm playing though. But it's just like, but we have an upbringing that is really good, and I don't think I love the fact that I wasn't coddled my whole life. I was able to develop quicker and think at such an early age, which is one of the greatest gifts that my parents could have given me, because that was more important than money, honestly.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me
Thanks
today,
for
Da
having
Vinci.
me.
You were amazing. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. And thank you guys for joining us on another episode of Hot and Bothered with Melyssa Ford. Take care.
Thank you for tuning into Hot and Bothered with Melyssa Ford. Please rate, subscribe, and comment, and share wherever you get your favorite podcasts. This season of Hot and Bothered with Melyssa Ford is hosted, written, and executive produced by me for Forged Path Productions. This episode was written and produced by Sebastian Godin. Filming and editing of this episode is done by GVI Films and executive produced by Rachel DeSalvo.